All right, good morning everyone. Welcome back to my channel. I'm Justin. Today is a day in the life, or a day back in the life of the independent shop mechanic. So we got our first service for the day. This is on a 2008 Toyota Corolla. Just an oil change and multi-point inspection, nothing too crazy. Get our feet wet for the morning, and then after that, we're gonna have a 2018 Jeep Renegade 2.4 liter multi-air cylinder head job that we're gonna be tearing into. So let's just see how the day goes. So when I'm doing a road test, there's a few things that I'm checking for, okay? I'm taking it for at least a little 2-mile loop. I'm checking for vibration in the steering wheel and the brake pedal when I apply brakes. I'm checking for clunkiness going over bumps. I'm checking for any kind of clunking or growling as I turn the wheel sharply in a corner or when I'm turning around. That's just going to indicate to me if there's any kind of issues in the suspension and the brakes, stuff like that. I'm listening and trying to feel for any kind of drivability issues, stumbling, slipping of the transmission, etc. That's pretty much what I'm looking for when I go on a road test. And then we of course do our under hood checks and then underbody checks. Now when it comes to brake inspections, I really enjoy using this style because you can either put it flat on the edge or you can hook it with this little tiny indent, and that'll tell you where your brakes are at. See, like, so in this case, this is a 2mm, and it hooks right in between the brake pad itself and the backing plate. All right, we got a 2004 Nissan Titan. The thermostat housing has begun collectively weeping coolant. So we're gonna pop that out using a 12mm and a cordless. So surprising enough, I use the little guy a lot. Say what you want about Harbor Freight, but this cart's been pretty nice today. For service car work, real quick, down and dirty, I like it. Pretty good space too. Oh, look who it is. Ah, look who it is.
What's going on, Justin?
Back in action.
Yeah.
How are you, sir?
I can't complain. Getting through it day by day.
This is a nice box.
Just loaded up this morning.
Is that a Rumblebee?
Yeah, it's the Stinger box.
The Stinger?
This year's edition.
God dang. That thing's freaking sharp.
Really nice.
You can just unload it and give it to me if you want.
Hey, with weekly payments, anything's possible.
Hey, it's my welcome back present, right?
We'll go with that.
Welcome back. Tools, 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 and more tools. You got all kinds of stuff, buddy. Ooh. In white. That's dangerous.
Won't stay clean long.
I don't imagine. Well, that's cool. Look at that. Little magnet folding tray. I can dig it, man. I can dig it. All right, so far, so good. Really liking being back here at Ron's. Starting to feel a little normal again. I'm not gonna lie. I'm starting to feel like I'm kind of getting my groove back. I love the ability that I can kind of film a little bit here and there as long as I'm getting my work done. That we can have open discussion topics about product lines now with no fear about the manufacturer, corporate, or whatever ownership is in charge of the thing right about now. It's lunchtime, getting ready to go eat. It was cool to see Snap-on Garrett talk to him for a little bit. Gonna probably try to shoot a few videos on his truck. If I get a chance to, I want to talk to Senor Jefe, Mr. Jeff, see if we can start doing some more gear wrench tool truck videos again. I don't know if he's gonna be down for that. It's been a little while, but we're gonna ask him. We're gonna ask and see. You know, they say it never hurts to ask. So hopefully Jeff's totally down to jump back on the show with us so we can start buying some more stuff from him in time. Okay, right now I got a little catching up to do, obviously, so. Almost. Looks nice though. It's a 454?
No. 396.
396?
It ought to be a killer. And what you'll everybody in the neighborhood will know when it gets started.
Yeah?
The headers, well, it's just straight headers. Haven't gotten hooked up. So it's gonna make some noise.
That's all right. The heartbeat of America. Well, starting in on the cylinder head job on this 2.4 multi-air engine. Trying to figure out why we don't have compression in one of the cylinders, and I guess one of the spark plugs is broke as well. But if you ever work on one of these and you have this, it is called a maniverter. It is an exhaust manifold converter, referred to as a maniverter. The exhaust hardware, there was a recall on this. It's called a U90. Anyways, the hardware will break off on you flush in the head and you'll have to extract it. And I have broken an extractor off in one of those recalls. Just be really careful, otherwise you're going to be replacing the head. I would say maybe 3 or 4 times out of 10 you're going to have to replace the head. But at any rate, someone must have already done this because they came out relatively easy. So that's a little tip for you if you ever work on a Jeep Renegade or anything else that has a 2.4 multi-air engine. Could be a Dodge Dart, 200, etc. There is one more trick you guys can do though, if you are in fear that you might break them off in the head. Take off the heat shield, take out the O2 sensor, get this thing nice and hot. And while it's running, even if it's making noise and throwing coats, doesn't matter. While it's running, take you a little 3/8 drive impact and try to run them out while it's hot. This will make it to where you have less of a chance of breaking the hardware off the head. Another little trick or tip is you're gonna wanna get these lower exhaust bolts soaked with some PB Blaster or rust penetrant. Work them back and forth if you have to, but let it sit there for about 5 minutes, it should be good. And you'll already notice the bolt is missing from underneath that holds this bracket right here. Sometimes people break that off and leave it broke. So it's just to help stabilize the maniverter. We'll put a new bolt in it when we find one. You are gonna wanna undo this exhaust bracket so you can pull the studs through. And there's another one back here. Okay, you are gonna want to take these 2 bolts out from this bracket so that way you can get it off, because otherwise it's just gonna be pressed firm against the engine and it's not gonna move. So take this bracket off. Now you should just be able to pull it and slide it right on out to the top. It got a little noisy in the shop, but that's okay. It's a shop, right? It's gonna get noisy. There's this, you'll see after I remove the valve cover, there's a silver thing that's compressing the valve springs. That's called a variable valve actuator assembly. And believe it or not, there's actually a special tool that clamps all of these springs down so that way you can remove it. I have never seen anyone remove the variable valve actuator without that compression tool. I imagine you would have extreme difficulty trying to figure out how to put it back on without that tool. even if you were able to try to figure out how to pop it out. So I'd strongly encourage you to do a little research on the internet, see if you can order one or find one. I'm not entirely sure if the MoparEssentials.com website, where Chrysler gets most of their tools from, if it's available to the public. I don't see why it wouldn't be, because it's Snap-on that makes a lot of these special tools for the Chrysler dealership. So check it out. If you need this tool, you're going to need it for the cylinder head job. Aside from that, it's pretty much just taking apart wiring harness connectors. You'll have to remove the passenger side front wheel to get a couple of these connectors off. You'll have to take off the lower intake support bracket, but you can leave the intake manifold on. You don't have to take the intake manifold off. You could actually leave it on there and pull the whole head up with the intake. And then other than that, it's just a handful of hoses that you got to undo. So you're going to need like at least 6 or 7 clamps, if I'm not mistaken. You would have noticed that I left the PCV hose attached to the valve cover. No need in taking that clamp off. If you are trying to transport the engine or whatever, or if you are swapping the engine, then you would have to replace that clamp. But if you're doing the top end, you can just leave it on there. But for the 2 radiator hoses going into the thermostat housing, you're gonna have to take those off. A couple things like that. Other than that, comes right on out. So I hope these tricks and tips were helpful for you guys today. Again, my name is Justin Dow. This is the Justin Dow channel. Cheers to those of you that have your beers. I'm gonna finish the rest of my workday strong, and maybe we'll see you guys later for a live stream. Cheers and deuces. Dude, this thing's pretty radical, man. I give Milwaukee props for this thing.